Money is spirit in disguise, and the moment you remember that, money begins to remember you. Money is spirit in disguise, not the cold metal in your hand, nor the silent digits glowing on a screen, but a living current of awareness, waiting for the shape your consciousness will give it. Most of the world has forgotten this. They bow to symbols and chase shadows, believing wealth belongs to the few who have mastered the game of form. But form is only the echo. Spirit is the cause. You have been told that money is a thing, paper, currency, transaction, trade. Yet what if every coin you've ever held was alive? What if beneath its dull surface there pulsed a consciousness responding not to your labor, but to your belief? Because that is the secret the ancients guarded and the mystics lived. Money is not created by work alone. It is created by state. It flows toward recognition, not toward need. Imagine it. Every moment of your life, an invisible river has been flowing around you. Some dip their hands in it with ease, while others stand beside it, parched and pleading, unable to see that the only barrier is belief. The current is not selective, it's responsive. It mirrors the vibration of your heart. Neville Goddard called this the law of consciousness, the truth that the outer world is only the reflection of your inner assumption. When you see yourself as poor, the universe obediently builds a world of limitation around that image. When you feel yourself to be rich in spirit, reality rearranges itself to reflect abundance. Because money does not begin in the wallet, it begins in the imagination. Listen closely. You cannot attract what you secretly condemn. If you whisper, "I want more money," but somewhere deep inside believe that wanting it makes you greedy or unspiritual, then you've just declared war between your desire and your belief. The mind says yes, but the heart says no, and the current splits. It can't reach you because you've closed the circuit. But what if you saw money for what it truly is, a manifestation of spirit, a servant of consciousness? Then every dollar would become sacred, every exchange a conversation between the visible and the invisible. Because that's all money ever was, spirit wearing the mask of form. There's a moment in the Gospel of Matthew that reveals this law in perfect simplicity. The Pharisees come to Jesus trying to trap him with politics. Should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? And Jesus, calm as eternity, says, "Show me the coin." He looks at it and asks, "Whose image is this?" They answer, "Caesar's." And he replies, "Then render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." Most read this as clever philosophy, but to those with eyes to see, it was code. Jesus was reminding them and you that everything in this world carries an image. The coin bears the image of Caesar, the mark of the material realm. But you bear the image of God, the mark of the creative source, which means, yes, the coin belongs to the world of form, but you belong to the world of creation. Form does not rule creation. Creation rules form. When you realize this, you stop chasing money and start commanding it. You stop begging life to bless you and begin blessing life into form. That is dominion, not domination, but mastery through remembrance. Jesus never prayed for provision. He thanked before it appeared. When the crowd was hungry, he didn't panic at lack. He lifted what he had, a few loaves and fish, and gave thanks. That gratitude was the command signal. And in that vibration of completion, the impossible became inevitable. When Peter worried about the temple tax, Jesus didn't stress. He said, "Go to the sea, cast your hook, and the first fish you catch will have a coin in its mouth." That wasn't luck. That was law, the law of consciousness, that nature itself rearranges to meet the needs of one who lives in certainty. You see, the true currency of this universe isn't gold or paper, it's belief. Money is drawn towards the one who already possesses it in consciousness. It appears wherever gratitude and dominion meet. When Neville said, "Feeling is the secret," he wasn't speaking in metaphor. He meant that the emotion you embody becomes the mold reality must fill. When you feel yourself wealthy, not someday, not when the deposit clears, but now, you've already planted the cause. The harvest must follow because law cannot betray itself. So understand this: you don't pray for money. You awaken to the realization that money is already a frequency awaiting your recognition. Every time you declare, "I am abundant, I am provided for, I live in the current of divine supply," you are not making an affirmation. You are speaking Spirit's native language. You are commanding creation through identity. The world might call it positive thinking. Heaven calls it creation. Because when your word and your state agree, the entire field bends to serve that alignment. Money moves toward order, not need. It follows recognition, not desperation. And gratitude is the bridge that joins heaven and earth. That's why Jesus gave thanks before the bread multiplied. Gratitude is the signal of completion, the spiritual equivalent of a king's seal upon a decree. So if you truly want to command money, not chase, not plead, not hope, then you must learn to move in harmony with the laws that govern it. These laws are not moral codes, they are creative mechanisms. And when you live by them, wealth becomes effortless, because you've stopped trying to get abundance and begun to be abundance. Let's go deeper. There are 3 sacred steps to commanding money as spirit and not as servant to fear. Not tricks, not hacks, but holy practices that align you with the divine flow already moving through your life. Step 1, align with abundance. Step 2, give thanks before it appears. Step 3, command and rest. Together they form the trinity of manifestation: awareness, gratitude, and faith, the same triad through which every miracle in Scripture was born. So before you move forward, take this moment. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel this truth. You are not outside the flow trying to step in. You are the flow in human form. This is not philosophy, it's remembrance. The moment you feel it is true, life begins to reorganize around that knowing. The bills that once felt heavy start dissolving into opportunities. The clients you once chased begin reaching for you. Because money doesn't change you, it reveals you. It mirrors your most intimate assumption about who you are. And if who you are is divine consciousness in motion, then how could you ever lack? The moment you stop chasing and start remembering who commands the current, the game of life changes forever. In the next part, we'll walk into the inner temple, where the secret of alignment turns desire into reality, and money becomes your obedient reflection. Before you can command the flow, you must remember what you are made of. Not dust alone, not memory, not name, but consciousness condensed into form. Money is spirit in disguise, and so are you. When 2 forms born of the same essence meet, they do not struggle, they resonate. You cannot command what you are running after. The chaser declares lack with every step. The runner whispers to the universe, "I don't yet have it." And the universe, faithful servant that it is, replies, "So it shall be." Money doesn't respond to noise, it responds to authority, and authority is born from alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and words become one, a signal goes out, a perfect frequency of coherence. and reality obeys. Say this within yourself: I am the source expressing abundance. Let it roll slowly off your tongue like a prophecy you forgot you wrote, because you did. Every soul wrote abundance into its own script before entering this stage called Earth, but most forget. They confuse survival with life and effort with creation. Yet you were never meant to toil for what is already yours. Think of electricity. It flows only through a complete circuit. Break the wire and the current halts. The same law governs money, love, opportunity. Everything that moves is energy. When your mind says yes, but your heart says no, when your words sing prosperity, but your feelings hum fear, you've broken the circuit. And no matter how long you pray or visualize, the current cannot move. That is why the first command is alignment. Neville said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Not think it, not wish it, feel it, because feeling is evidence of alignment. The moment your body joins your thought in harmony, creation begins. Close your eyes now. Breathe deeply. Imagine that every inhale pulls in golden light, the current of divine supply, and every exhale releases all doubt. With each breath, you're becoming more connected, more aligned, more alive. Now whisper softly, not to the air, but to your being. I am one with supply. I live in the current of abundance. Money is not outside of me. It flows through me. Say it until it starts to feel true. That feeling is not imagination, it's revelation. That feeling is the evidence of the unseen aligning itself to your command. You see, alignment is not something you build, it's something you remember. It's returning to the awareness that abundance was never missing, only misperceived. Everything you'll ever need already exists in potential form, vibrating in dimensions unseen, awaiting your recognition. You don't attract abundance, you tune to it, like a radio aligning with a frequency that was always broadcasting. The station doesn't appear because you twist the dial. It was always there. You just couldn't hear it until you matched its vibration. And so, alignment is the turning of that dial. It's the moment your inner conversation becomes sacred. When you stop saying, I hope, and start declaring, I am. Because the universe doesn't answer questions. It echoes statements of identity. If you say, I want wealth, the field mirrors want. If you say, I have wealth, the field mirrors having. And the bridge between the two is feeling. Feeling makes it real. Feeling is faith made flesh. So here's the truth most overlook. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are in consciousness. When you see yourself as the one who lacks, life conspires to confirm your lack. But when you see yourself as one who already has, the outer world must reorganize to agree. That's why alignment isn't about action first. It's about identity first. You can work hard and still repel wealth if your identity is scarcity dressed in ambition. You can sit still and attract miracles if your identity is abundance clothed in peace. Because money listens not to motion, but to vibration. When you truly align with abundance, something miraculous happens. You stop asking how. You simply know that it will. You stop forcing doors open and watch them swing at your approach. You stop grasping and begin commanding. And here's the paradox. Once you align, you no longer even care whether it's working, because the knowing becomes enough. You've already arrived internally, and the outer must follow by law. This is the first sacred command. Be aligned before you are provided. Be abundant before you are paid. Be at peace before the proof appears. Now notice how the energy shifts when you stop striving, when you stop saying, "How will it come?" and start saying, "It is coming." That's alignment turning to authority. That's the moment the invisible begins to move. Listen, alignment doesn't mean pretending. It means remembering. You're not lying to yourself when you say, "I am abundant." You're telling the only truth that ever existed. Because the soul has never known lack. It has only watched the mind believe in it. Money is the shadow of your inner state. Change the state, and the shadow changes shape. So take this moment as practice. Picture yourself walking through your life, not chasing, not counting, but emanating. Each step is wealth. Each breath is gold. Every glance is an invitation for blessings to follow you. You don't have to shout commands at the universe. Whisper them through your being. Because true power doesn't demand, it knows. And when you know, the world rearranges itself in silence. That is the hidden art of alignment. The quiet power that moves mountains without lifting a stone. When you master this first step, money stops running from you and starts orbiting you. It circles, it gathers, it serves. Because energy recognizes its origin, and you are that origin. You are not a beggar in the temple, you are the architect of the temple itself. And your consciousness is the altar where every offering multiplies. Now breathe. You are aligned. And from this alignment, all other steps become effortless. When gratitude becomes your daily language, creation bends toward you like sunlight to a flower. In the next chapter, we enter the sacred art of giving thanks before evidence appears. The vibration that turns unseen wealth into living reality.
Gratitude is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the quiet miracle that turns potential into proof. It is the song creation cannot resist. Money is spirit in disguise, and spirit responds to gratitude faster than to any command. When you give thanks before evidence appears, you're not pretending. It's not delusion. It's law. You're signaling to the universe, "I already have it." And the universe, unable to contradict truth, rearranges itself to agree. This is the second sacred step. Give thanks before it appears. You've heard people say, "Be grateful for what you have." But what Neville Goddard, Jesus, and every true mystic taught was deeper. Be grateful for what you have not yet seen. Because gratitude for the unseen is faith in its purest form. It is the evidence of things not yet visible. When Jesus stood before the multitude with only a few loaves and fish, he did not complain about insufficiency. He didn't count what was missing. He blessed what was present. And as he lifted his eyes and gave thanks, the bread multiplied. It wasn't a miracle of matter. It was the manifestation of thankfulness as command. Gratitude was the language of creation responding to certainty. That's the key, certainty. Gratitude is not reaction, it is initiation. It tells creation the work is finished. It seals your desire in the invisible realm and invites it into form. Now imagine your life as a garden. Every thought is a seed, every feeling a drop of water. Gratitude is the sunlight that tells the seed it's time to grow. Without it, the soil remains dormant, the potential stays buried. But when you give thanks, you awaken the life sleeping within your desires. Most people dig up their seeds daily to see if they've grown. They check the account, watch the numbers, panic when nothing moves, and in doing so, they uproot what was just beginning to sprout. But masters don't check, they trust. They say, "Thank you, it is done." And they go about their day as if the harvest is already visible, because to spirit, it already is. Neville called this loyalty to the unseen reality. When you thank for what you have not yet received, you prove your loyalty to the higher law, to the realm that causes all forms. You become, as he said, faithful to the end. And the end always mirrors the beginning. If your beginning is gratitude, your ending must be abundance. So tonight, when you lie in bed and the mind begins to whisper about lack or uncertainty, do not argue with it. Instead, turn within and speak softly. Thank you that money flows easily and freely into my life. Thank you that every need is already met. Thank you that abundance surrounds me and multiplies through me. Say it not as a wish, but as a remembrance. You are not summoning wealth, you are acknowledging it. You are saying, "I see you," even before you arrive. And when you see with spiritual eyes, reality must follow. Dr. Joe Dispenza describes this as teaching your body what the future feels like before it happens. It's not fantasy, it's neurochemistry. When you feel gratitude for a future event, you're programming your nervous system to recognize that state as real. And since the subconscious creates according to emotion, not logic, your life begins to mirror that gratitude physically. That's why Jesus never waited for results to appear. He gave thanks first. Gratitude was the fuse that ignited miracles, and it still is. So let's practice the art. Before you open your eyes tomorrow, before your feet touch the ground, pause and whisper, "Thank you." Not just for what's obvious. Thank the unseen. Thank the ideas forming, the doors opening, the money moving, the alignment unfolding. You're not just being polite. You're broadcasting certainty. You're telling creation, "I remember who I am." And creation listens. It begins to send you signs, a random refund, a new connection, an offer you didn't expect. And you'll say, "That's coincidence." But Spirit will smile because it knows its resonance. Everything drawn to gratitude like metal to a magnet. You didn't chase it, you recognized it. And what you recognize, you realize. Here's the secret few understand. Gratitude doesn't wait for evidence. It creates evidence. It doesn't ask for proof, it produces proof. Because to the consciousness that knows I already have it, the world can only respond, "Then let it be so." The mind of separation says, "I'll believe it when I see it." But the spirit of creation says, "You'll see it when you believe it." Gratitude is that belief made audible. It's the sound of the invisible declaring itself seen. So tonight, before sleep, review your day, not for what was missing, but for what was given. Find one thing, then two, then 10, and then stretch your gratitude forward into tomorrow. Thank you for the wealth already on its way. Thank you for the miracles already unfolding. Thank you for the provision that finds me even now. Fall asleep in that vibration, because the subconscious is most fertile in the moments before rest. Whatever emotion you sleep in, you plant in the garden of the soul, and the soul always blooms by morning. Now let me pause, not to break your rhythm, but to invite your participation. If this message is awakening something inside you, if your heart is whispering yes, then let this moment become your turning point. Join the 21-day challenge, link below.
21 days to create your dream life by aligning, thanking, and commanding. It's not just practice, it's remembrance. Because what you remember, you reclaim. And what you reclaim, you command. So step in when you're ready. The current is waiting. Now breathe and return to this flow. Every word of gratitude carries frequency. That frequency calls to it everything that matches its tone. People, opportunities, ideas, money. They all move toward you quietly, naturally, inevitably. You don't have to chase them. They recognize the vibration of your thankfulness because gratitude is the mother tongue of abundance. The moment you begin to live in that state, you stop measuring time by what you receive. You start measuring it by how deeply you feel. And the paradox is, the more deeply you feel, the faster you receive. That is why the mystic smiles before the miracle. Because gratitude is not hope, it's knowing. Knowing that what you ask for is already forming. Knowing that what you imagine is already arriving. Knowing that the current of divine supply never stopped. It only waited for your recognition. You, right now, are sitting in the current. You are surrounded by abundance, as fish are surrounded by water. When you give thanks, you move in harmony with that ocean, not against it. You become the tide, not the swimmer. And the tide never doubts where it's going. When you've aligned and given thanks, only one law remains, the law that seals creation: rest. In the next and final part, you'll learn how to rest not in passivity, but in power, the stillness that completes creation and makes money move without effort. Rest is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of certainty. It is the quiet confidence that arises when alignment and gratitude have done their sacred work. When you rest, you are not waiting, you are allowing. And what you allow flows faster than what you force. Money is spirit in disguise. It listens not to anxiety, but to authority. Not to desperation, but to dominion. And dominion speaks once, then rests in its own word. Jesus never begged reality to comply. He never repeated His commands to make sure they took. When He said, "Lazarus, come forth," He did not whisper it twice. He knew the power that spoke was the same power that breathes galaxies into being. That knowing is rest, and that is the final key. You see, creation doesn't respond to effort, it responds to coherence. When your inner world is aligned and grateful, it becomes magnetic. But when it is frantic, even the best affirmation loses its voice. Rest tells creation the command has been received. It is the silence after the symphony, the exhale after the prayer, the moment the wave returns to the ocean and says, "It is done." Rest is faith made visible. When you've aligned with abundance and given thanks before evidence, the next temptation is to look around and ask, "Where is it?" That's the trap. Every time you check for proof, you declare disbelief. Every time you doubt the process, you dig up the seed. Faith that needs proof isn't faith. It's fear wearing the costume of control. But when you rest, you're saying to the universe, "I trust what I cannot yet see." And the universe, like a devoted servant, answers, "Then let it be done." Rest is spiritual confidence. It is knowing that the moment you spoke the word, the energy began to move. It may rearrange people, timing, circumstance, but it never fails because creation never breaks its own laws. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. He doesn't kneel beside the soil shouting for growth. He waters, he waits, and he rests. He knows the unseen forces are already at work beneath the surface. So it is with money, opportunity, or any manifestation. It germinates first in consciousness, then blossoms in form. Your only task after commanding is to rest in peace, not pressure. That's why Neville taught, live in the end. When you rest in the feeling that it's already done, the outer world must catch up to that vibration. Rest is the evidence of faith, and faith is the seed of manifestation. So tonight, after you've aligned and given thanks, don't return to worry. Sit quietly and whisper to your own heart, "It is done. All channels are open. I rest in the abundance already prepared for me." Then rest, not because you've stopped caring, but because you've started knowing. Let your mind be still, like the surface of a lake that mirrors the sky. The moment you rest, the invisible begins to organize itself around your certainty. You'll notice small signs at first, a message from someone unexpected, a new idea, a chance encounter that solves a problem you thought unsolvable. Do not call them coincidences. They are confirmations. They are reality bending itself to match your inner peace. Remember, the universe is not testing you, it's teaching you how to trust. Each time you rest instead of react, you tell creation that you are ready for mastery. And mastery doesn't strive, it commands. When you rest, you become a vessel of coherence. Your heart, mind, and body move in one rhythm. Dr. Joe Dispenza describes this as the moment your electromagnetic field becomes so harmonious that matter must organize itself around you. You are no longer forcing reality, you are shaping it with stillness. It's the difference between the river thrashing downstream and the ocean's calm that pulls everything toward it. Be the ocean. Be the still power that draws, not the frantic motion that chases. Because stillness is the highest frequency of confidence, and confidence is creation fulfilled. Now, imagine this with me. You've stopped fighting life. You've put down every weapon of worry, every sword of self-doubt, and in the silence, you remember, I am the command. Not the beggar, not the victim, not the seeker, the source. You are the voice behind the form, the consciousness behind the current. Money does not define you, it obeys you. And it obeys not through effort, but through recognition. When you see yourself as the origin of abundance, not its pursuer, you begin to walk differently. You speak differently. You emanate a still power that doesn't need to prove itself. You move through the world knowing that every desire is already on its way because you already live in the frequency of its fulfillment. And if you ever feel the old fear creeping in, the urge to check, to fix, to force, remember this. Every time you act from fear, you say to the universe, I don't believe. But every time you rest, you declare, I trust the unseen more than I fear the visible. And trust is the magnet that draws miracles faster than thought. So rest. Rest as the Master does. Rest as the Christ within you rests. Not because you're tired, but because you're certain. This is the posture of power, the calm after creation, the silence that births sound. And when you rise from that rest, walk as if it's already done. Smile before the evidence appears. Move as though heaven has already whispered yes, because it has. When you live this way, money stops being a master and becomes a mirror. It no longer tests your worth, it reflects your awareness of it. You'll find it showing up through new clients, unexpected calls, inspired ideas, not because you chased it, but because you finally matched it. Everything in creation recognizes its source, and you, my friend, are that source. So tonight, as you close your eyes, seal this truth in your being. I am one with divine supply. Money moves for me, not against me. The Spirit of abundance knows my name. And when the first shift appears, a payment, a message, a miracle, do not dismiss it as luck. Smile and whisper, of course, because it's not coincidence, it's law. It's the law responding to your alignment, your gratitude, and your rest. Money, like all form, simply shows you who you believe you are. When it flows easily, it's because you're finally in agreement with truth. And the truth is simple. You are abundance in disguise. You've never needed to earn what you already are. You only needed to remember. So let this be your declaration from this day forward. I am abundance in disguise. I am not the seeker. I am the source. I am the current. I am the command. Say it, type it, speak it, until it becomes the rhythm of your soul, because each time you do, creation listens. And the universe, like a faithful servant, rushes to fulfill the word of its creator. Welcome home to the flow. Welcome home to yourself. No longer chasing, but commanding. No longer begging, but becoming. This is the end of striving and the beginning of remembrance. And if this message lifted you even 1 inch higher, stay connected. Join this circle of awakened creators, souls who no longer chase outcomes, but command them through consciousness. Because when you surround yourself with truth, you become a living example of it. Together we rise as those who remember that money is spirit in disguise, and we are its voice. So may your next sunrise bring proof of what your spirit already knows, that abundance was never outside you. It was always waiting for you to rest in your own divinity. It is done. It was always done. Now go and live as though the kingdom within you were wealth itself, because it is.